always block the tires. Loosen the lug nuts before putting it on jack stands. I like to make sure there's a good contact on my jack stands. And I always like to put the handles towards the front. Makes them easier to remove. Again, handles towards the front, easier to remove. To keep from losing my bolts, sometimes I like to put them back in the hole. Standard practice is take a wire and wire up the caliper to hold the weight. We do not want the caliper to be dangling on the brake line. This side is rounded, it only has 2 flats. It's a 15. It's an 18. Don't take that off yet. We want to take this bolt off first. I need something to keep this from turning. What I should have done was had the brakes on and then loosen this. Alright, I put this clamp on here to keep the piston from coming out of the caliper because I need to apply the brakes so I can loosen this nut. I should have loosened this nut prior to taking the rotor off. Okay, so I need to buy a deep well. Well, I want to put these back on, and the reason why is because I need to hammer these studs, and I want this to be flush with the studs so I can put equal pressure on both of them. Couple love taps. These are kind of bound up. That's what's the force holding, keep them from coming out. I'm gonna wobble. There we go. So shake it, and it's come out just fine. Don't forget the washer. You shouldn't have to disconnect the tie rod. You should just be able to pull this damn thing apart. So I just pulling this out, and it comes out. I want to do this with minimal work. So I just stuck this in there, and then I hammered on this to pop, and there we go. There we go. Take a screwdriver, line up the hole. I'll hold the weight. I find that the top one is easier to line these up with. Now right there, it's up to the grooves. I want to line those flat spots up where it's easy to put a wrench on after I hammer in here. How I line this up, I can put a 15mm right there. Get a couple love tabs. These are 18s. Stoning. Here's the washer I just cleaned. I would prefer to use a deep well 30mm. Put the rotor on, then put the bracket on. Have the clip on the inside.
This is for all the lonely people, thinking that life has passed them by. The silver cup, and ride that highway.
We want to make sure the piston is in far enough. And a technique I use is to put a socket in here, and then I put a clamp, and I clamp it. I want this caliper to fit around the brake pads. So a technique I use to ensure that the piston's out of the way is I'll put a socket in here, then I'll clamp it down to compress that piston. Then I know it'll fit right on. Make sure the flat side is against the cast iron. And there's the flat spot I'm talking about. Make sure it's against the side of the caliper. Now we need to tighten this nut.
That you